Okay. Hello and good morning. My name is Krishna. I'm a product manager at CloudPhysics, but I would like to call myself product manager / product evangelist / product engineer because I have held many roles in CloudPhysics. Prior to CloudPhysics, I've been with VMware close to 10 years, and I've initially worked on the VMware product support engineering group. I have extensive experience in support issues, storage configuration issues, performance issues, and the last 6 years I spent bulk of my time in VMware performance group. And if you guys have attended VMworld, you might have seen some of my sessions. I give a talk on ESXtop and performance troubleshooting, so that's my core domain expertise. So today I want to show you a demo from CloudPhysics on 3 different categories. So the first category is how do you find operational hazards even before you encounter them in your infrastructure. So what are the tools CloudPhysics provides that you can use to find problems? So let me switch over to a browser session. Probably have to do a login. So how many of you have used the product? Actually seen the product before? Okay, so there you go. So Serfan mentioned before, right? So we have a SaaS product. So all you have to do is you install the our observer, which is basically a vApp which connects to your vCenter, and it extracts information from vCenter, and within 5 minutes you deploy the observer. You can log into our website and you can start analyzing data instantaneously. So we have a whole bunch of applications which we call as cards, and each card is focused on one particular aspect of your data center. This could be anywhere from your SSD configuration, your HA configuration, your data store performance, your data store space, any way you want to slice and dice your analysis, you can have a card or an app for it. So we have a mechanism to group these apps into what we call as a deck. So I have a deck for cost calculation, deck for health check, deck for simulation, deck for storage analytics, and so on. And you can create your own custom deck as well. So these are all my custom deck. The other cool thing we have in our platform is we are all about answers, right? So if you have a question about your data center, you can actually simply type the question in the search term, in the search box here. So for instance, you can say tools, and we'll give you an indication of what kind of answers we can provide related to tools. Or you can search for space, and we'll say what kind of answers we can provide related to data store space. And when you click on the question, we automatically launch you to the card or the app which provides the answer. So that's the very simple interface. Anybody can just log in and instantly start using it. So for this section, I'm going to focus on health check. So very common, simple use case, but such a pain point for users to manage is VMware tool status, which is mind-boggling because VMware tools was introduced in 1999 or 2000. And people still have trouble managing it and keeping it up. Part of the problem is also because of the way the VMware's the tools upgrade mechanism works, and especially when you're managing like thousands of virtual machines, making sure all your virtual machines have the right tool status is such a pain. So what we have is a very simple card which shows you the guest tool status. You can get it by different vCenters. So the other nice thing about our platform is our observer works on a vCenter by vCenter basis. And you can install multiple observers for each vCenter, and we collate the information and we aggregate them across your entire organization. So you get a global perspective. You're not bound by the vCenter silos. So you can have data center in multiple geographical location or within the same geographical location managed by multiple vCenters, and we can aggregate that information and give you the global view. So the slicing and dicing functionality of our platform I think is one of the most powerful features of our platform. For instance, you may be interested in getting the tool status only for one particular guest operating system type. So we automatically now show all the guest operating system type which is available in your environment. If you see, we also have VMware ESX as a guest, so we even show that. And you can search quickly and you can find out, okay, there is only one Ubuntu Linux VM and the tool status is not managed by VMware. It's currently running and time sync is not enabled.
That's a great question, actually, Krishna, if you don't mind. Obviously, we're touching on nested ESX instances, and how does the tool work as far as going to that next layer? So, is there a way to push it? You'd have to push a second observer into that vCenter instance, or how does it look in those instances? Actually,
the demo that I'm showing is most of the VMs are running in a nested instance. So we do have a vCenter in a VM, and we also have nested ESX servers, and a different vCenter instance manages those nested ESX servers. So yeah, you just have to point it to vCenter server. It doesn't matter where the vCenter is and where the ESX is. So, so this is just a quick example of how you can quickly get this information, and then you can export this information to a CSV file. And the other cool thing we also have is a sharing functionality. Now, let's say you're the super Uber admin, and you have a bunch of admins working underneath you, and you want to bring notification about this particular aspect, saying, hey, why is this tool status is not set correctly? Then you want to bring them to the attention of that. All you have to do is click on this share, and you can send an email address of your internal user. It could be your admin, or it could be any other user within the organization. And this is a feature that works across all the cards. And the nice thing about this feature is when the user gets an email, they get access to this card, and they also get access to the interactivity of the card. So you're not just taking a screenshot and sending it to somebody. They get live access to the card where they can slice and dice, they can play with the data, and if it's a simulation card, they can also do the simulation aspect of it. So that's one convenience. Second thing is, let's say you're not an HA expert, and you want to hire Duncan's help for fixing some HA configuration issue, right? Today, how you do it is you host a WebEx session, ask Duncan to participate. You have to make sure Duncan and you are in the same time zone. You have to make sure he's available on the time that you are available. All these issues exist, right? With card sharing, that functionality makes it way simpler, because now you share it. Duncan can access your infrastructure anytime he wants. He can slice and dice your infrastructure, and you're not giving complete access to your infrastructure. He cannot make any changes to his infrastructure. And he only gets the analytical view that you are sharing, and that's the only thing he gets to access. So if you share HA card, he only gets to see HA settings. He doesn't get to see anything else. So we think it's a very powerful sharing functionality for sharing information within your organization. Maybe it's within your application owner within your organization, or a peer admin, and also outside of your organization. So that's
you mentioned they mentioned earlier your REST API, and can you customize that and pull data out of this into other systems, like a ticket system?
I didn't say REST API. I said that you can export the data into a CSV file, but we do have an API interface for our partners to query this information.
Okay. I was thinking more along the lines of if there is an issue, how do we get that into our ticketing system, or somebody to work on the next day, or
okay.
Whatever.
That's not possible today, but the way you can get it is by manually extracting or putting a screenshot, and there's no tight integration with your ticketing system.
Simple way to do that integration will be to set up email alerting on the cards.
Mm-hmm.
If this goes amber, send me an alert. If it goes red, send me an email alert, and your ticketing system will then that in.
Okay, so this is one simple use case we looked at. The other thing we have done is a lot of best practices now today remains in documentations, in KB articles, in many different places, in Duncan's blog post, in William Land's blog post, right? So knowledge is spread thin in many different places, and the users have to search his information, and he has to be a domain expert to really solve any configuration problems. So what we have done is we have captured this information from the domain experts, and we programmatically encoded it into our platform, so we can do a bunch of checks, rule checks against your configuration, and we can say things like, in your infrastructure, you don't have application monitoring enabled, and why it is important, what is our recommendation is, what this setting allows you to do. We say why you don't have shared storage, how this is going to impact your HA configuration. So we can give recommendations like this. So as a case and example, Duncan worked with us for this particular card, but just to give you a flavor, like a community can participate, and we have created a platform so easy for us to create any such cards applications in the future. So again, other thing I want to keep repeating is any part of this analysis can be done for any slice of your inventory, down even to a single VM. So the filter settings on the left-hand side allows you to choose your vCenter, your data center. You can go even down to the VM and you can get your answers. The other card, personally, a card that I worked on, it's called Host Inventory. I made some improvements to this card which had some interesting simulation aspect to it. So this card on the surface is a very simple inventory management. So you know how many hosts you have, what is the CPU cores, what is the socket size and whatnot, right? A very, very, very simple. But what is interesting here is you can do what if analysis and say, what if I upgrade the system to a different version of ESX to show me all the hosts which is compatible for a different version of ESX. So you can do this analysis now, and the way we do it is we look at the system BIOS information, we look at the system model, and we match it up with the VMware HCL database, and then we can find out which version of ESX is supported and what is your current version of ESX. Is it really supported in the current version? So we can alert you about these issues. Great planning tool if you're doing an upgrade. ESX upgrade.
Extend also to firmware level at NIC cards or.
Yes, I'll get you to that. So that's my next demo.
And are we also going beyond VMware's HCL? I had a nasty upgrade issue where a particular physical NIC wasn't supported with NetApp storage beyond a specific ESXi version.
I will show you that in the next demo. So what we talked about now is just host compatibility, right? So the compatibility doesn't end there, as you pointed out. There's device compatibility that's so I will show that in the next demo. But I want to cover a couple of points in this thing. One other thing you can also do in this card is you can find out hosts which has unpopulated sockets. How convenient is that, right? A lot of times you have a farm of servers, you don't know which ones are populated. People manage this manually in Excel sheets or their own inventory management system. Here with single one click, you can find out which machines has unpopulated sockets. Similarly, you can find out what's the max memory supported. For some of the servers, there is no max memory because these are virtual ESX hosts, but it also show you what is the max memory support on this configuration. So you can also see what is your headroom available for doing hardware upgrade, not only this.
So beam population to see how you can increase, how you can extend the existing RAM.
Not today. What we show is only what is currently populated and what is the max capability. Okay. But we don't, actually, we have the data to go to the level of showing which DIMM sockets are populated and which bank is available. We can even tell you whether your NUMA nodes are balanced or not. We can go to that level, but in this particular card, I don't have that, but we can totally do that.
Not to steal from what the guys do with RV tools, but do you guys have those type of simple things like which ones have floppy disks attached, which ones have like those, because that's a big tool, especially like obviously the snapshot's gone wild, which I said is the greatest card name ever. But those are really good tools that we use right now, and like I said, love the RV tools, but this would be a great place to kind of pool it together with other great.
That's a great example. So since CloudPhysics is not about all the cards that we create. So let's say you want a card which knows which machines are floppy tools connected. You can just create one in 30 seconds. So I'm going to show you how to do this. I'm in Card Builder. You drag and drop the VM name, and you say floppy, and you say floppy connection state, and then floppy connection state should be equal to true. There you go. That's your card. And you can add more complex rules to it. So you can put a rule saying, hey, this VM should be on this particular data store. So you can say data store name should be this. And you can say it in a theme like internal.
Well, data store is not a shared data store.
Yes, or you can say it should be an NFS. So you can say volume type, and you can say volume type should be equals NFS. So our query engine is really complicated. Behind the scenes, a lot of interesting things are going on. So we are providing a SQL-like interface which allows you to query any arbitrary data and do the automatic mashup. So we know which VM is on which data store, what are the associated property of the data store. So if you put filters on those properties, we only auto-select those VMs. This is a very convenient way of looking at your infrastructure as opposed to the hierarchical way of looking at infrastructure typically in vCenter. So
there's one feature request. I need you guys to go work at Microsoft and teach them how to do pivot tables. Your interface is really, really easy to use. And it's almost too easy. A lot of people worry that they don't know how to get started, but the drag and drop is good, and the granularity and the filters are really nice. So
okay.
+1 for that.
All right, thanks. There's a whole bunch of health checks related cards is there, but I'm going to focus on only one now because you asked about I/O devices. So this is a card called PC I/O devices. So just like your host inventory, now you can have I/O device inventory. Now remember how many times people wonder how many 10 gigabit cards I have in my infrastructure, how many quad port NICs I have. How many of those quad port NICs are actually being used? Maybe in the quad port NIC, only 2 NICs are being used and the remaining 2 are not even connected. These are the kind of questions people have on a daily basis, so hard to find because now you have to log into 100 different servers and get the information. Here, you can get that in literally in few clicks. So you can select the NIC, you can say number of ports should be 4. It auto lists the host. In my environment, I don't have one, so let me show all. And you can basically slice and dice your inventory. You can search for inventory containing a particular device. You can say BCM5. If you have Broadcom NIC, you can search for the device name, or you can say MPD SCSI. You can even search based on device driver name. So you can find out which machines have a particular device driver, including to the level of version number you can search, or a firmware version you can search. So it's really, really powerful inventory search system for all your PCI devices. Now, if you click on this, you also show the individual devices on the host, and we show the what is the compatibility status of those devices, whether it's compatible in particular version of ESX. So in some cases, we will show you on which version of ESX it is supported. So let me remove this search. And so this device, for instance, will tell you that it's supported only on these ESX versions. And you can get your firmware version, your link state. You can even get information about which device driver it is. So again, a great, simple inventory search system. So with that, I'm running out of time for this section. Obviously, there's a lot more to see. If you guys are interested, I can proceed, or we can move on to the next section.
One quick one before you go. Is there any thoughts of being able to expose this data to another dashboard? Like, say, if somebody has a, like we talked before about, help desk system or whatever, maybe not for actionable yet, but can another system consume data from this and then represent it in their own fashion with charts or however they want?
So some of the analysis we're doing is not really complicated. We're just connecting the dots. And when we do the analysis, we insert our the derived information that we got back into a data in Card Builder that you can simply query. So Card Builder becomes your interface for you to query our analysis itself.